I wasn't sure what to expect. Travelling a long distance was a new experience for me, and I'm afraid the initial 14-hour flight wasn't as smooth as it could have been. Especially since I couldn't work out where the recline button was for the seat, so I sat at a 90-degree angle for 14 hours. We arrived in Turkey late in the evening, and upon stepping outside the airport, my initial thoughts were, we're definitely not in Sydney anymore. Smoke filled the air, cars beat their horns, and taxi drivers conveniently forgot to stop at the crossing that we had to cross. We are in a country with different customs, different ways of thinking, and different ways of living. To put it into perspective, as of 2013, the population of Istanbul was 14 million. That's more than half of Australia's population crammed into one city. Thanks. The following afternoon, after spending a day seated in the back of the bus, our tour directors decided to take us straight to Gallipoli. This now leads me on to my next picture. Tired and weary, we found ourselves buzzing with excitement the moment we stepped off our bus and could finally say we stood where the Anzacs stood 100 years ago. It was an overwhelming feeling for me. On one hand, I felt honoured and overwhelmed, and on the other hand, I felt sad. Thousands of young Australian men had died on these soils, died for their country and died for their mates. When we arrived, we walked along the area that would later become where the ceremony took place. Massive stands had been installed and wires of all sorts mapped the ground. After taking a few pictures and learning about the area, our tour guide, John, led us down to North Beach. I'd forgotten that European beaches had pebbles instead of sand, and it led me to respect the Anzacs even more. These men ran along beaches, under low lighting, intense gunfire and shrapnel. Meanwhile, I was struggling not to trip or slip over pebbles whilst walking at a slow pace. Next. My third and final clip I want to display is a short video. So that there was the space that the Battle of the Neck took place on, just to put it into perspective. I knew the battlefield was small and was in extremely close range with the Turks and was almost a suicide mission. But it was a surreal experience for me to walk along the battlefield I had envisioned, to imagine what it was like to be one of those men. The fear they must have felt was unbelievable. Next, thank you. I wasn't finished, sorry. There was another picture, but it must have got cut out. Before I visited Gallipoli, I sometimes found it hard to truly appreciate the sacrifices the Anzacs made. It wasn't because I was ungrateful, or because I had no interest in their legacy. It was because I couldn't relate this tragic battle to anything I'd seen or experienced. We are lucky. Lucky we don't have to go to war. Lucky we had men like the Anzacs who were willing to put their life on the line for their country and for their mates. Next time you're at a dawn service, think of the things that you do to protect your family, your friends and your home. And then remember that the Anzacs did them. On this journey, we shared laughs and tears, we made friendships and learned to appreciate not only the Australian soldiers who fought, but the Turkish soldiers who defended their country. I'll never forget the roller coasters of emotions I experienced, all the stories, some funny and some sad that I haven't gotten to tell. Thank you.